kind of give people an update.
Hello.
I don't know how long we're gonna have internet,
Do we need this on there?
so it doesn't matter.
To direct the
But
map?
yes, we do need it on there for us. But
Oh, okay.
please don't mess with it.
All right.
And then just let people.
Hello.
Don't show me
Why?
because I look fat.
You started this.
I just want you to tell them while we have internet.
And what do you want me to tell them? Hello. What do I want to say? Because you started this.
That we don't have internet until the 15th.
Oh, we don't have internet where we are in the campground where we're parking our RV. And so we probably won't be doing any lengthy live streams for another 4, 5, 6 days.
Yeah, we won't be doing any live streams until at least the 15th
Right.
because we don't have internet.
So like the 15th. We can, if, we drive to town. We do have things we want to talk about. Which you can see some of the evidence of on Carl Ody's blog.
And are you going to make a blog post too about that?
And I'm going to make a blog post as well. It's from a site that's called Bardo Methodology. And it's like a heavy metal music site.
Almost death metal.
Like death metal, but apparently the Nicholas, I forgot his last name, interviewed Mark and Sarah, or just Mark, it seems like. And I don't know how the interview was conducted, whether it was email like they usually do, or...
I think it was both of them because they kept saying we.
Yeah, right. So, in any case, but they focused on Mercodi and
Well, but
his
they
experience.
said her name as well. I think she likes to hide behind him. So he can get, I don't know.
Well, maybe. I don't know. But it's a two-part interview, and it's very lengthy, and there's some good information there. Mark talking about his start with Tiendo in 1975, because he and Sarah went to the same meeting that I went to in Walport, Oregon.
Well, no, you and Sarah went to that meeting together. He went to that meeting with Lamoti.
Yes. Right. So, yeah, but so there is some, I enjoyed some of that, what he said, about the days that from his experiences, because I wasn't with him during that time, and it talks about Junodi giving birth to the baby, that she was pregnant before she joined, and that was good because I wanted to hear more details about that. But then the second part starts off with their leaving the group, which was not voluntary. And he blames it on Doe. He blames it on the students. He says that Doe made a mistake and tried to get them to come back, and they didn't feel like they wanted to come back or whatever. I don't know. He says, he talks about a bunch of stuff, and I think I posted it to my Facebook page.
Yeah, I believe you did.
So you can, and with a little bit of an overview response. That page is Sawyer Heaven's Gate, and
I guess you can get rid of the maps. It's bugging you. Because I just put mine up. Sorry to interrupt you.
okay,
There you go.
and but I'm actually tackling a broad-minded critique of the second part, especially, and because he just generalized.
Well, what did he say about you?
Oh yeah, he said some things about me that were totally wrong. And I don't care. It's not like it was something that I need to feel defensive about. Because I've been transparent about why I left and how I left, and
He didn't even talk about that. He
well,
just talked
no,
about
no.
your
What he says is that I yes, I stayed with them initially when I left the classroom, and so a couple weeks at the most, I think. And then they said that I was wandering aimlessly and that I was a bum and
that you boomeranged into drugs, music, and sex.
yeah, I boomeranged into drugs, music, and sex, and that I was associating with musicians and Mesa and a band, and none of that was true.
A general tendency to do nothing, that you didn't have any motivation to do anything.
Yeah, I had no motivation to do anything, they said, and I had a general tendency to do nothing. And yet I had 2 jobs.
That they had to push you out of their house.
They had to push me out of the house. They said, and I wanted to leave. I didn't want to stay there. I was hardly there at all. They did let me borrow their car, and I was able to look for a job using their car. I found a job pretty quickly at the Marriott Hotel Resort in Scottsdale, Arizona. And then I drove to work with their car a few times, and then I got a bicycle, and I rode my bicycle from their house to the job. And then I moved out because I just didn't, like being there, and it was quite a bicycle ride. So I wanted to get someplace closer, but I didn't really find anything closer. So I ended up in Mesa, Arizona, renting a room from this person that was subletting, I guess, one of the rooms that she had. And I didn't have any social life at all with her or anybody else.
No, they said you moved in with some musicians in Mesa.
Yeah, they said I moved in with some musicians in Mesa. I don't know who they are. I did go out and rent a flute, and I bought a harmonica, and I ended up buying some conga drums, a set of them. I still have them, and played, by myself. Started to play music again, and yeah, sure, I would have maybe liked to meet some people and play music with them, but I didn't go out of my way to try to do that. I was riding a bicycle everywhere I went, so that kind of, it was 5 miles from Mesa to where I was working, and so I would work. I was the dinner cook, and I ran the line myself, for the dinner shift of the resort hotel, and then I rode the bicycle back at night. And I got harassed sometimes, and it wasn't an ordeal, really. It was good for me to have that exercise and everything. And when I would go shopping, I would ride a bicycle, carry bags with me, and so I don't know what I was a bum about. I wasn't living off of anybody else. I did use the $600 that Doe gave me.
We should mention that Doe gave them $2,000, which they bitched and moaned about that they didn't have enough money. And the group didn't give them enough. But yet in this article they stated that they, hit the ground running and was successful at everything they did. But yet there's an audio of Doe saying that they were bitter and they felt that the group hadn't set them up well and they were having money problems. They want to make it sound like everything was great, and doesn't seem to be the actual truth, at least not from Doe, and we believe Doe over them.
Yes, absolutely, and let's see. Now they did remind me that they ended up, when I was living in Mesa, they ended up knowing that I wanted to be closer to the job I had in Scottsdale, And so they gave me the phone number of someone that had a room for rent.
But yet they said that they found you an apartment.
Right.
That they pushed you out of their house, that they had to find an apartment for you to get you out of their house.
Right, as if I was like squatting there or something, or like I was hardly ever there. I mean, I don't remember cooking there or doing anything there except for sleeping, for those nights and watching a little TV because they were at work, so we didn't do any socializing at all. And I was thankful that they gave me a place to stay, but it was about as I don't know. There was nothing to it.
And sorry if anybody's in the room and we're not getting to your comments because I don't know if Sawyer knows how to get to them. I don't think I know how to get to them, but
yeah, we just wanted to update you.
Yeah.
On some of this, and if you leave any comments, and if you want to put comments on the actual stream, I'll look at them later. I can get comments and emails. We can, both of us,
Yeah,
with the signal that we get, so we can respond to that.
We just can't stream or call anybody. There's no cell service,
right?
Which is frustrating. We weren't prepared for that.
Right, and so they gave me the number of that person with the apartment, and I took it, and I called her, and I went for an interview with her, and she agreed to give me a room, and I stayed there for a few months before I moved to New York. And before I left Arizona, I secured a programming job because I had worked for Phoenix 5 Software when I was there with the group years before that. And so I contacted Murray Whips, who is the owner of Phoenix 5 Software, and he said, yeah, he could use me to work remotely. I wouldn't have to come into the office. And so I arranged that before I left and went back to New York, and from New York I started to work for Murray. Sending him files over the internet at the time. And so there was no bum to me. I was working the whole time, even though it was difficult to work.
What about the sex part of it?
The sex part of it, I didn't have any sex with anybody. So I don't know what he's talking about, how I tumbled into sex. And I didn't do any drugs while I didn't even smoke marijuana. I didn't know anybody to give me marijuana if I even wanted to have it. I didn't even think about having it, or anything else for that matter. I didn't drink.
It was a complete lie for them to say that you boomeranged into drugs.
They make these things up and they think that they're true, or somehow in their minds there's a lot of things that they've made up
God forbid
about me.
You played music.
They accused us of promoting suicide, and we weren't ever promoting suicide. And it's like I don't know where they get these ideas. I mean, it's from some source that's not T&O, that's for sure, and it's not from anybody that has a real.
Ooh, you should talk about how they compared.
Perspective.
They compared this article to the greatest story ever told.
Yeah, they said that this article, which took about 4 hours. No, they were referring to.
They said the person asked them if they were doing anything, what they were doing, and they said they weren't doing anything except for getting through this article, getting through this interview. Like it was so hard to give an interview, and that it was just a few sentences shy of the greatest story ever told, which ran for 4 hours, which was a movie about Jesus. So they're comparing themselves to, quote unquote, the greatest story ever told.
Yeah, and when Mark tells the story of his exit, he denies that it had anything to do with the I could be wrong lesson.
Right.
And
Blames it on a car.
yeah, he said that it
And
started.
rumors.
It started when Doe bought a Cadillac. I think a white Cadillac.
I think it was a red Cadillac. I could be wrong.
Oh, maybe it
No,
was.
it said a rear drive Cadillac.
Yeah, but I think we did have a red one. I think at one point, and we had a white one for sure. I knew about. Anyway, so he bought this Cadillac, and it was a rear-wheel drive, and we were living up the Boulder Canyon in Colorado, and Mark said to some others in that Northcraft, they called it, that it was a rear-wheel vehicle car, and it might be safer to have. I'm not sure exactly how he said it, but to have a car that I think had, a front-wheel drive car, and yet I don't know if he was given a task to evaluate what Doe did. Because if he wasn't given a task to evaluate what Doe did, then his suggestions, if he was going to make any suggestions to Doe, then I think he would have done that directly to Doe in a note instead of talking to other students about it. Now, if he was given the task to have something to do with that car and the buying of it, then I don't know what he would do if I don't know. It just sounds really messy, really messy. And then he says that it spiraled out of control, whatever that means, until that he was blaming it on students, right?
Rumors, yeah.
And so he said there were rumors going
and then he
around.
said something about an Doe realized.
Oh, they were talking about getting him, that he was going to get an out-of-craft task,
Yeah,
and that was right before we were going to be moving to Atlanta, which we did move to Atlanta. And so I don't know why that was a problem, but
Well, you said that Doe realized in that meeting that it was other students that had wanted him to get an out-of-craft task, not Doe himself.
don't realize that.
So, no, that's what Mark said. You keep it on you.
Right, it's not on you.
I know, but you keep turning it, so then it's just half your face and it looks weird.
All right,
That's why I keep turning it back to you.
okay.
But no, he said that Doe, through some meeting, that Doe realized that it wasn't his idea. It hadn't been Doe's idea for Mark to get an out-of-craft task. That it was some students' ideas for Mark to get an out-of-craft task.
Which is kind of,
As if Doe had made a mistake.
okay, well, the way that can work sometimes, I'm not sure how it happened, the context, is that Doe could have, I think Doe did sometimes to give him some feed from students about that, and maybe Mercotti was brought up by some,
But then wouldn't Doe know that it was from the student? In some private meeting between him and Mark that he had made a mistake and it wasn't actually his idea.
Right. That wouldn't have happened that way at all.
And just that he would have gotten kicked out over saying something about a car sounds.
Right. He's ignoring the whole lesson of how, right from the beginning, from years before that, Doe said that he was operating like a trail boss, and a bunch of students were looking to him more than they were looking to their older member for answers to problems and stuff. And so Doe actually gave him a task of muting him. That was the word that Doe used, I believe. And Kathy believes it was tape 200. And I'm not sure. We have to listen to it again to
Yeah,
see
I could be wrong about
when he said that, because she could be wrong about that. I don't
Because I
know.
didn't hear it, you did.
Yeah, I heard it when Kathy went and did something else.
I was doing a shake in the kitchen and I dropped it and broke it and I had to retreat.
I remember that. I remember that, yeah. In Mishawaka.
Yeah.
So I mean, because there are no trail bosses in the next level. Next level does not have trail boss mentality. Now, for a trail boss in the world, yeah, they have to. And what he said about it, what Doe said about it was that Mercoti was so attentive to. He did have the job of being part of Satellite 3, which was the group of students that were assigned the task of managing, according to procedures that T&O would give, the things that needed to happen in terms of
We're about to be back up on the mountain.
paying bills and taking care of cars, and even though there were crews for all these things, they were kind of the overview of it and scheduling of people and out-of-craft tasks, pickups and deliveries, and writing instructions in the books so that everybody could have access to them, and according to the standards that T&O gave us. And so they had a lot of tasks that had to do with things, and because of that, Mark, was very attentive and had a very quick mind, and so he was quick, and so he was like, if someone came in the door having just had a oil change on the car, he would go up to them and say, "Does this happen to me?" With him coming up and saying, "Well, how did things go? Was there anything unexpected?" He just asked all these questions, and he'd make a report then, or he'd.
We're about to be back up on the mountain.
Okay,
so,
or he'd
so
wait for
it
our
doesn't
report.
Drop if you wanna.
Yeah, the signal might just drop away in a few minutes here, and it doesn't. We're not going to come back to it. So I know there's a number of comments. I see DJ Taconics there, and Daniel, and Mills, and Booster, and it just went away.
Yeah, we're probably. That's why I was trying to warn you before, so you could just end it.
Yeah, I don't mind if it ends, but so if it ends suddenly, then you know that's why. But what I was going to get at was that after that spiraling out of control, he's saying that he left and he doesn't know why. Sarah left as well.
Was sent with him.
Was sent
away.
with him. And some idea that she was going to come back after leaving with him, and that that she didn't want to leave him because she felt like she needed to help him adjust to the world or whatever. And
he said that she could see how devastated he was by being forced out of the group.
right,
That's what he said.
okay, good, and that Doe realized his mistake of sending him out of the group and was calling him every day to try to get him to come back, which is ridiculous, totally ridiculous. That Doe would do that, and not only that's not an opinion, that's a fact, and we've got like 11. I counted the clips that we made. That we have over 11 different clips from audio tapes in 1987 and after they left, and 1988 after they left, of course, and of Doe talking about them. And it wasn't favorable talk. It was that they were looking to their own mind and each other. They didn't care about what Doe thought. And they were, and that Sarah was even, yeah, he felt like she was used by an influence to be a plant to even try to keep me out of the group because we were a partnership before we joined, and that she was now working on Mark in that regard, right?
And half the males in the class.
And half the males in the class had reported that she was like enticing them, and she did that. I know about a few circumstances. So I mean, this is her influences. Okay, we're not talking about the soul, Sarah Foti, but she's she's responsible for what her vehicle does, just like I am, and everybody is. And to play this high and mighty role, and to be lording over me and Carlotti and Kathy with this lawsuit, trying to share T&O's information, really looks like they're trying to keep us from this information coming out about what their issues were and are, because Doe had a lot to say about it, and it's ironic that this article was written in October, just this past October, and we wouldn't be talking about this because we were holding back on talking about all these clips. But now that he's come forward and said all these lies about everything in that regard, it's like we have to come forward with the clips that show the truth, because otherwise, it's like the truth isn't going to be known unless somebody else researches all the tapes and finds the same clips and then shares them with the public. And like Doe said, that all things would be revealed, and it's interesting how he is actually revealing these things.
Yeah, that's right.
And so he's kind of forcing our hand, and maybe it's in a response to try to discredit me and Kathy and Carlotti, but me in particular at this point, I guess, and because of the fact that we haven't gone along with what they think about their own authority over the information. He says in this article that Coyote wasn't given a dissemination task, but that means that he doesn't know about the away team document from Deep Space Services Before Departure that Junodi wrote, that's in the Heaven's Gate book, on the Heaven's Gate website that they're supporting, and how it says that every believer has a dissemination task and a standing up for T&O and maintaining that stand until they lose their vehicle, however that happens, and accepting the consequences to that. Because standing up for T&O is not an easy task to do, because there's a lot of influences that hate it, and the lower forces don't want their information out. So they have slipped very far into this abyss of misinformation, disinformation.
Well, and they want to, talk about the couple sentences in the letter that seems to validate what they've done.
Right. Like it says in the letter, first it gives the instructions that Doe wanted. And he said, like, for instance, that you can Rick Odie and Oscar Odie might be a big help to...
Is that your brother?
Honk. Is he stopping?
I don't think so. He's just stopping at that light. Oh, darn.
Oh, it's all right. We'll be in touch with him.
I saw them coming up.
Yeah, that's funny. But, so...
I don't think they could turn around anyway.
No, I don't want them to.
Well, just to say bye.
You don't want them to give him a shirt.
Oh, that's right. Darn. Well, we'll meet
His
up with
birthday.
them.
Hi.
Hey, we're actually in the parking lot right behind. We see you guys right now.
Oh, we literally just left.
Yeah, I see you guys right now. You're at the light, and we're in this little bank parking lot or something here.
And we're live streaming.
Oh, yeah, we're just trying to minimize as much, rain and flooding and all that stuff.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. We're gonna ride it out up there on the mountain. It looks like.
Yeah. You guys will be totally fine.
You think?
It was
Okay, yeah.
just we just didn't want to delay it, an extra like 2 days, because you just don't know what you're gonna go through. And I was like, at least if we leave, we'll get out of this campground. Which is like,
I just saw you guys leave. I'm like, whoa.
just getting out of the campground is like you put your heart in your stomach, right?
Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
not looking forward to that. It's going to be bone dry when we leave, hopefully.
Well, we had a little birthday gift for you.
Right, and I didn't
So,
want it to be all sloppy wet. And you don't know what the conditions are and all that stuff.
We'll get it to you the next time we
So-
see you.
We're going to be down
Right.
in Orlando, and I think that's the same time you guys are going to be in Daytona, I think.
Okay.
So maybe we'll try to hook up
Yeah.
there. You guys are going to be in North Carolina for a little bit while longer, though, right?
No. We're driving today and tomorrow, and possibly, arrive Sunday or tomorrow. I'm trying to switch our reservation to be tomorrow.
Oh, down in Daytona?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we'll
'Cause
probably
it only
connect
takes
with you
us
guys.
2 days.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Right now,
and
we
we're
just,
Well, let's talk later
yeah.
because we want to catch up with you.
All right. Well, we just saw you guys driving. We were like, hey, that's them.
Yeah. Well, the stuff you gave us yesterday,
Yeah, I don't think we want to
or
talk
the
about
day
that right
before.
now. I'm on a live stream.
okay, it's all fine.
That's all
Okay.
fine.
So
Great.
All right.
everything's fine. All right.
Cool.
All right. Cool.
All right.
Talk
We love
later.
you guys.
Love you too.
Okay,
Bye.
bye.
Be
Bye.
safe.
Yes. Thank you. You too.
Bye.
Safe travels.
Bye.
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 All right. I want to get back up there. And so you're going to drop the live stream, but I want to get up there before it starts raining.
Okay, the live stream's going to drop any minute, but I was in the middle of saying something. I always am. Of course.
It's
So,
your brother.
yeah, right. So,
Sorry. It was so good to see them drive past, though, at least.
so they were in complete denial that they had anything to do with
Anything.
anything, right? It's like Rick Cody's fault. Everything that
right,
happened.
That was
And,
crazy.
that Rick Cody's back hurt or something. That's
Right,
why
he
he
didn't
didn't
wanna
get the
move
things
anything
from
out of
storage. But they don't talk about why they were given the primary task of going to storage to get the items of value that ended up being the 1,061 audio tapes. But they don't talk about how they failed at that task.
Right.
And
But they pushed that off on Ricody.
and they push it off on Ricody, and yet because of Ricody, we had 218 audio tapes the whole time, for years, and they weren't making any bones about that much. They weren't happy with it, but they knew that Carlotti and I were distributing those tapes, and they knew that I was playing some of them on my
Make sure you haven't dropped the
3SP